Hey, so I've flown a few times with this $2,100 carry-on from a brand called Sterling Pacific. And in this video, I'm gonna cover a few things that stood out to me, good things, as well as a few drawbacks. And finally, as a $2,100 suitcase, is it worth it? Let's get into it. So a bit of context, I travel a fair amount, usually 4 to 5 times a year. So that's around 8 to 10 individual flights. My wife and I have a lot of experience traveling. We know how to pack as efficiently as possible and to move through the airport quickly. First as a childless traveling couple, and now as a family of 3, almost 4, even though we have to pack much more nowadays. So who is Sterling Pacific, if you haven't heard of this brand before? They are a boutique brand that specializes in and focuses on really premium, well-made high-end luggage. They make their travel cases for frequent flyers and pilots, but also I'd say travelers who appreciate beautiful and well-made travel cases. Well-made so it doesn't fall apart during travel and so that it lasts a long time, so it doesn't have to be replaced. And beautiful because, well, you're using it a lot and it's more fun to use something that is a pleasure to look at. When I was younger, I had this mentality that if I'm going to use something a lot, find a version that's relatively cheap since I'm going to eventually have to replace it. I assumed that if I'll be using it a lot, it's gonna wear out quickly and buying a new one is inevitable. But as I've gotten older, I realized that if you're using something frequently, it's worth it to buy the best that you can afford and something that you truly enjoy using because it will be better built and last longer, and you'll experience the pleasure of using it every single time. That's exactly the type of person that Sterling Pacific makes travel cases for. People who appreciate beautiful everyday things and want to travel with the best. Okay, let's talk about the unboxing experience. So I was super impressed with the care and attention to detail just with the packaging itself. It was shipped in a very sturdy box, wrapped in a bubble cushioning, and inside that, the suitcase came in its own protective cloth cover. So about the suitcase itself, here are 5 things that really stood out to me about the 40-liter carry-on. It's built like a tank, and it looks awesome. The suitcase is made with super tough aircraft-grade aluminum, which means it's practically indestructible. Plus, the sleek metal finish is undeniably eye-catching, and it really gives off these classic vintage aviation vibes. Within my first hour of using it, I got 3 separate compliments on this thing. That it looked so nice, that it seemed really sturdy and durable. Now, I told you I travel a lot, and I've never gotten any sort of compliments on the luggage that I carry around, so this was definitely noticeable. This thing is designed to take abuse and look good doing it. The hardware on the Sterling Pacific carry-on is rock solid. From the thicker aluminum corners to the 100+ stainless steel rivets that are holding this thing together, the double TSA approved locks, to the metal buckles on the interior straps. The trolley handle itself sits in a die-cast aluminum housing. In most other suitcases, this housing is built from plastic. Every single thing that matters in the suitcase is made from metal and is built to last. The handles themselves are covered in this full-grain Italian leather that's going to develop a really nice patina over time. I'm really excited to see how that turns out. It's a no-check, no-stress carry-on. With a 40-liter capacity and dimensions of 22.5 inches by 14 inches by 9 inches, this bad boy fits most airline carry-ons rules. It's surprisingly roomy inside, perfect for a few days of clothes and shoes and accessories, whatever else you might need on your trip. I've never had a problem sliding it into the overhead compartment, and personally, I prefer carry-on travel only whenever possible. So I won't have to deal with the hassle and the fees and the waiting in line when I'm trying to check a bag. Of course, when traveling with kids, this isn't always an option, but maybe we cover that in a different video. Effortless rolling with no resistance. These 2 features are arguably the most important, especially when it comes to moving through the airport. The 4 360-degree spinner wheels glide super smoothly across all types of surfaces that I've tried, from smooth airport floors to cracked city sidewalks, you name it. And the telescoping handle feels really sturdy and adjusts to whatever height that you might need, so you're not fumbling around while rushing to your gate. And as I mentioned earlier, in many of the other premium luggage brands, the trolley housing, the trolley itself sometimes, the wheel housing, all these parts are typically made of plastic. Not so with the Sterling Pacific case, it's all aluminum. And you can definitely feel the difference in how solid and sturdy it is when you're using it. Guaranteed for life. Sterling Pacific is so confident in their product that they back it with a lifetime guarantee. Basically, if something goes wrong, they will fix it or repair it or replace it, no questions asked. I mean, talk about peace of mind, especially when you're paying over $2,000 for a travel case. You really expect it to function perfectly for life, and Sterling Pacific guarantees that. Now, of course, it isn't the perfect case, but nothing is perfect. There were a few things that I noticed that could be considered drawbacks. Of course, everyone has different tolerances and preferences, so I won't say that these are definitive definitively bad. Some may consider them a good thing. Anyway, I'll let you decide. The first thing, it's a heavier weight carry-on. Aluminum cases in general tend to be a little bit heavier than your standard plastic suitcase. This might make a difference if you're frequently lifting your suitcase into an overhead bin, or if you're close to airlines' weight limits. The check-in weight limit thing is obviously irrelevant if you are team carry-on. This 40-liter carry-on specifically weighs 12 pounds. By comparison, my cheap Samsonite that I bought off Amazon, that is the closest in size to this, weighs 6.5 pounds. Dents and scratches show. While aluminum can handle a ton of abuse without structurally failing, it can also show scuffs and dents more easily than a plastic suitcase. Over time, your 40-liter carry-on will collect and show battle scars, which I personally love. To me, all the scuffs, dents, and scratches add character and personality to aluminum cases. But I can see how others might find it annoying or ugly if they prefer that pristine, this is my first time ever using this sort of look. A less flexible interior. Aluminum shells don't have as much give as many other soft-sided or even hard-sided plastic cases do. There's no expanding panel, that zip section in the middle of some carry-ons that allow for more space when packing. If you tend to overpack or you depend on that expansion, you're not gonna have that extra give. It can draw more attention. Aluminum luggage stands out, which on its own has its benefits and its drawbacks. There's a possibility that it could be more susceptible to theft since it's visually attractive and it looks more expensive. So if you prefer to fly under the radar when you travel, a nice and expensive looking aluminum suitcase might not be the best option for you. But to be honest, when I'm rolling around with mine, I didn't feel particularly threatened. Most people probably didn't even notice or think twice. So if you maintain awareness, which is always good when traveling, you're probably just fine. If anything, you'll probably get more positive comments, a few more oohs and ahs, more than anything else. Not easily repairable just anywhere. This thing, like I mentioned, is built like a tank, like a very luxurious tank. But if you need to take advantage of Sterling Pacific's lifetime warranty to fix a defect in the main functionality of the case, and you're currently traveling, you'll have to send it in for repair. Or Sterling Pacific can help you find a local repair shop. By comparison, plastic cases can be patched up crudely or probably repaired more easily at any local repair shop that you find. Or if it's cheap enough, you just chuck it and buy a new one. But if you're not into that disposable consumerism and you prefer buying things that you can invest in and last a long time, then it's not much of a concern. It's worth mentioning that Sterling Pacific offers complimentary spare parts for life. Anything that you can repair at home with a screwdriver by yourself, they will send you the spare parts for. Things like the locks or the clasps on the interior straps or the luggage handle. Sterling Pacific will send you a new one so you can change it out yourself. That's a nice perk. Okay, B, I agree. This thing is beautiful, it's sturdy, it's functional, it'll last a lifetime. But how much exactly is this thing and is it worth it? So as I mentioned earlier, the Sterling Pacific 4-wheel 40-liter carry-on comes in at $2,150. This obviously isn't a cheap $100 suitcase that you can buy off Amazon, but I think that's obvious in the materials used, how it functions, how it's designed and built, and the lifetime guarantee if anything ever needs to be replaced. It's the Rolls-Royce of travel cases, that's for sure. Now, is it worth it? Well, that's gonna depend on who you're asking. People looking for the best quality, no expenses spared, and something truly unique generally aren't concerned with price. Like, they will pay for it if it's the best. And any frequent travelers who understand the value of a well-made, buy it for life type of suitcase, and who want something that not only functions, but is built to last, but one that's also beautiful and enjoyable to use and to look at. Here's how I look at it. Think about people who collect art. They spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars on a piece that just hangs on their wall. They look at it and they admire it, and sure, they hope it retains or increases in value, but other than that, it's there for looks, for admiration. This is basically a work of art on wheels. If you love and appreciate travel, and you love using and handling beautiful things, and you want the things that you use every day to be beautiful, to be well made, and to be enjoyable to use, a travel case like this one from Sterling Pacific is essentially your work of art on wheels that you get to roll around and actually make use of. The dings and scuffs that it collects are like pieces to a story of a well-traveled life. Personally, I like well-worn things, coats, watches, bags, leather shoes, and I try to keep my stuff for a very long time. I prefer maintaining and repairing my things whenever possible instead of just chucking it and buying a brand new thing, because the more you use a well-made garment or a well-made bag, the better it gets over time. So if you're looking at it through that lens and you're optimizing for beauty, quality, construction, uniqueness, and a story, I would say it's worth it. This would be your art collectible that you can actually use and make your own. So those are my thoughts on the Sterling Pacific 40-liter carry-on suitcase. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed using this thing. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.